If you're a first time viewer, my name is Mark. After I travel through the portal on the stone hand right above me, a video will play set the ground rules. Directly following that will be a recap of the previous episode. Right after the previous episode recap concludes, I'll be back with you to give my own unique style of commentary on 3 videos I found to be either ridiculous, insightful, or just downright relatable. Before we start off the ground rules, I have to advise that everyone watching to keep respectful in my comment section if you just like to leave a comment. And stick around for the entire video if this is your first time watching. Now y'all sit tight while I'm en route to the first news report location, and I'll be back momentarily.
Welcome to Reality with GP. Before the show starts, a few ground rules need to be set. Number 1. If you're a prominent YouTuber and you admire GP's editing style, ask GP directly about how he does his editing. Number 2. Prominent YouTubers must do a reaction video to GP's latest upload to learn his editing techniques for free. Number 3. People who are emotionally sensitive to cold, hard truth. You don't belong here, so get the fuck on somewhere right now. Number 4. Any non-black women or black women under the age of 40 who find GP romantically or sexually attractive, refrain from advances or else you will get blocked. Number 5. If you are an attractive 40 through 55-year-old black woman and you would seriously date and potentially get married to a 25-year-old man, inbox GP on Instagram. GP, you ready yet? Your show starts in less than 30 seconds.
Man, hell yeah, I'm ready. Let me make sure I'm looking good for this camera just in case one of these fine-ass grannies decide to tune into my show. Alright, let's get it.
On last episode of Reality with GP report on the creative invincibility of Sigma males.
The Sigmas returned. They thought he was done. But the Sigma never leaves in defeat. He leaves to rebuild. The Sigma doesn't chase validation. He didn't come back to be noticed. He came back to be undeniable. His success became his voice. His peace became his victory. The Sigma's return isn't loud. It's controlled. It's the art of turning loss into leverage and pain into precision. The price of being Sigma. A Sigma doesn't chase the crowd. He walks against it. While others scream for attention, he builds in silence. People call it arrogance, but it's discipline. They call it loneliness, but it's freedom. He doesn't move with the trend. He moves with intention. Every room he walks into, he doesn't try to dominate. Yet his presence shifts the air. Because a Sigma doesn't compete with people. He competes with yesterday's version of himself. Sigma Protocol. Unavailable but unstoppable. You move when the signal turns green inside your head. No crowd, no cheer. You don't chase rooms. You build doors. You don't ask for respect. You invoice it. You study patterns, not people. You answer to principles, not pressure. You repay loyalty with access and disloyalty with distance. Your circle is a firewall, not a fan club. You pick long games over quick applause. When they compete for attention, you compete with yesterday.
Stay tuned for today's episode of The Greatest One-Man Show in History.
Before I roll that first news report, make sure to hit that like button and comment the thumbs up emoji if you like what you've seen so far and push me further into the algorithm. Now roll that first news report.
Access granted.
Sigma male. The power of silence. They call him cold, distant, even arrogant, but that's only because they can't figure him out. The Sigma male doesn't chase validation. He doesn't need the spotlight, because his power lies in the shadows. While others waste energy proving themselves, he sharpens his skills in silence. He's not antisocial, he's selective, not emotionless, just disciplined. He knows his worth, and that's why he never begs for attention. People wonder why he walks alone. It is simple. He is building a world where he doesn't need to ask for permission. And when the world finally notices him, it's not because he tried to be seen, it's because his greatness could no longer be ignored. A Sigma doesn't compete with others. He competes with yesterday's version of himself. That's why he always wins in silence.
Access granted.
I can honestly say there wasn't one word within the duration of that video contained inaccuracy. As I stated before, these would be long and drawn out videos if I asked every point due to me having ADHD. So I have my own unique perspective to one of the points made. First and only point of discussion, the sense that we Sigma males know our worth and that's why we never beg for attention. Now I would say the second half of that particular sentence is not always a good thing. Allow me to briefly expound on what I mean by that. In the last video, I detailed the negative aspects of our tendency to not beg for attention, making us the focal point of those who always beg for it. But allow me to detail another scenario which arises that can be subjective, depending on who it is experiencing it, which would be that prior to our personal solitude, we Sigma males will often attract platonic friends who genuinely had our best interests in our facets of life. But for Sigma males, this can be a problem, because our unique auric presence makes neutrality impossible for people who catch wind of us. By that I mean, when people outside of ourselves have our best interests at heart, they will take things too far in our defense in situations where we would have spared the person they chose to get at on our behalf. And it's the extreme levels of defense from those who do genuinely have our best interests at heart that serves as yet another reason that we Sigma males prefer solitude over pointless social interaction. Now y'all enjoy this first dose of comedic relief while I'm moving to the second news report.
Access granted.
So far, make sure y'all hit that subscribe button. Also, that like button and comment your thoughts down below to push me further into the algorithm. Now, let's cut the commercial and roll that second news report. If you are an attractive 40 through 55-year-old black woman and you can see yourself seriously dating and potentially getting married to a 26-year-old man, hit your boy up on Instagram. All my socials are current on the hologram in the center of your screen. To any older women that may be watching, I hold the belief that it's my obligation as a man to ensure any woman I date feels like queen whenever she's in my presence. Meaning, if we're dating and we get serious enough to start living together, you don't have to lift a finger unless you want to. By that I mean I'll do all the cooking, cleaning, laundry, dish after eating dinner if we didn't at home that specific day, take you out on dates every weekend, with me always paying for everything, hold doors open for you. If we not at the restaurant, we're sitting at a table instead of a booth, pull your child before you take your seat. And lastly, most imperatively, whenever you're in my presence, you will always be spoken to in a way that causes you to feel like the most beautiful woman in the world. More simply put, not one moment will pass in my presence that you don't feel romantically swept off your feet. Now, most people inaccurately presume that I'm putting women on the pedestal by doing these things, but in actuality, my tendency of going above and beyond to make any woman who calls herself taking me romantically serious feel special is solely about giving her the exact same love, nurturing, and consideration I've always given to myself during single seasons of my life through every moment we share. Now, I've tried doing all these things for my age, but they've always kicked me to the curb for apparently being too nice, which is why I like 40 through 55-year-old women. But so far, my attempts to date and potentially get married to an older woman, those that have entertained me only use me for sex. But I'm keeping hope alive that I'll one day meet an older woman that won't allow my age to be a romantic barrier for her. Now, if you're a non-black woman, I don't want you. If you're a black woman under the age of 40, I don't want you either. But you can always do me a favor and send some of your 40 through 55-year-old female family members my way. And I'm 100% serious about that. Due to me being a young man who prefers older women, I had to make up my own sexuality. See, I don't identify as straight, I don't identify as gay, but I identify as granny sexual. Now roll that second news report.
Access granted.
The Sigma's law of patience. The Sigma understands one truth. Time bends for the patient. While the world rushes, he waits. While others crave instant results, he builds brick by brick, quietly, deliberately. He doesn't chase what's not ready. He plants, nurtures, and lets things grow when they're meant to. Because patience isn't weakness, it's strategy. The Sigma knows storms end. Noise fades. But the one who stays calm through the chaos always wins in the end. He's not slow. He's precise. He doesn't act to look busy. He acts when it counts. Every move is timed. Every silence has purpose. That's why his progress looks invisible, until it's undeniable. He doesn't announce. He arrives. The Sigma's law of patience isn't about waiting. It's about trusting the process and mastering yourself long enough to let greatness unfold on its own time.
Access granted.
All the information shared within that video was 100% right. But just like in the first news report of this video, my commentary would be unnecessarily drawn out if I were to go in depth on every point I found relatable. Therefore, I only add to one of the points, just keep the duration of this video minimal. First, only reference point. The sentence that while others crave instant results, we Sigma males build brick by brick, quietly and deliberately. Now, the Sigma male's choice to build on our own solely stems from two areas of reasoning. The first being our innate need for self-governance being a requirement for our creativity to fully flourish. Second is our single-handed work naturally outclassing anything produced by the team-based effort amongst the ordinary, intellectually codependent, run-of-the-mill archetypes in society. Now, this is something that tends to make people in general unsettled. And I mean no offense to those of you who rely on the team for the execution and production of your creative efforts, but teamwork is the Sigma male's only weakness in the area of our creative endeavors. The aesthetics of this channel being single-handedly designed by me will be a perfect example of this. Allow me to briefly elaborate on what I mean by that. See, if I had a team working for me behind the scenes with any area of my creative endeavors, the channel aesthetic here would be mediocre at best. Now y'all enjoy the second dose of comedic relief while I'm roots to the third news report. Before we roll that final news report, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Also, the like button and comment your thoughts on what you've seen so far to push me further into the algorithm. Now roll that final news report.
Access granted.
The Sigma's final warning. Don't mistake his silence for weakness. He's not quiet because he has nothing to say. He's quiet because he's watching. Every word, every move, every betrayal. He stores it all, not for revenge, but for understanding. He's mastered the art of restraint. When others act out of emotion, he acts out of precision. You'll never see him argue. You'll never hear him explain. Because by the time you realize he's serious, he's already gone. And when he moves, he doesn't warn twice. He cuts ties clean, walks away cold, and never looks back. His silence isn't surrender, it's strategy. The Sigma doesn't threaten. He calculates, he endures, he disappears. And when he returns, it's not to talk, it's to win.
Access granted.
I'll honestly say that video contains unparalleled levels of precision while simultaneously describing the full scale of my current mindset. Allow me to give an example followed by a comprehensive analysis to expound on what I mean by that. Take my copycat situation for instance. They all underestimated me and had my prolonged grace mistaken for me being a naive individual, confused my retention of politeness towards them amidst their continued theft of my ideas for vulnerability, and misconstrued me kindly asking for it to stop repeatedly as weakness. Now, the multitude of respectful warnings I gave the collective of those losers throughout the last 2 years was clearly not being taken seriously. I'll briefly detail the only reason I allowed my copycats to go unchecked for the amount of time that I did, which will be giving all those morons more than enough rope to hang themselves, leaving them no areas of diversion from accountability of stealing my ideas and claiming them as their own, while simultaneously leaving no room for me to be criticized for any disrespect I displayed towards those idiots. Lastly, to all my copycats, just keep in mind that all of you could have easily pushed my channel to your subscribers and platformed me like you all have done for countless other content creators, but instead you dopey, deficient, dense, boneheaded, borderline brainless losers chose to do a shitty job of copying me without giving credit where credit was due and persistently attempted to steal my shine out of envy in attempts to destiny swap with me. Now I've said all that to say, and giving all of you losers more than enough rope to hang yourselves, any disrespect towards you idiots in the black YouTube sector who made a habit out of stealing my ideas will be completely called for moving forward. It's only because I allowed all of you dumbasses to think shit was sweet over here that there's no room for any of you to play the victim, regardless of how badly I might offend any of you retards by the things I may or may not say in the near future, depending on circumstance that is. But to everyone else watching, y'all enjoy this last dose of comedic relief, and stay tuned for the closing notes to my copycats followed by the outro. And also be sure you tune in for the line of uploads I have coming for y'all next week.
I'd liked BBC all of my life. I grew up in a household largely without books, and it was BBC Radio 4 that is probably part of the reason that I achieved academically in life and succeeded. So my love and affection for the BBC is deep. My anger now is at the people who have, from my point of view, stolen the BBC and then besmirched it and reduced it to something petty, small, venal and trashy. The BBC would never have done this. The BBC that my grandma would have fought and died for, you know, they would never have behaved this way. And the idea that we automatically defend institutions is simply wrong. You often get this in conservative circles, but if you're born a conservative inside the USSR, you don't protect the regime. You just don't, you know, and they have stolen, politically, they have stolen the BBC. We watched it sort of slow boil happening, and this is what the result of it, this is what they create, this petty, venal little thing. Well, it's an embarrassment to the nation, and I either want the BBC back under impartial control or it gone, but it cannot go on the way it's going on. It just can't.
Before I go see to the outro, I have to make it known that all of these idiots within the picture fusion directly in the center of your screen and other content creators within their YouTube sectors collectively chose to refuse to lend me a helping hand in growing this platform just a few years back. Now that alone was fine with me, but my problem with these idiots and other creators within their YouTube sectors arose after they chose to constantly start making less advanced imitations of my original edits and regurgitating my talking points in a far less explanatory manner. Philip Scott started doing sci-fi edits only after seeing it on my channel, and even made a whole new channel dedicated to copying my futuristic sci-fi aesthetic under the channel name AfroWire AI. Now, Danica Marie, why don't you tell your audience where you got the idea for that futuristic intro on your live streams? And I also noticed that you were watching my old videos and making entire live streams based on things I said years ago during those months when I was distracted by my twin flame. Now, help, you come off as intellectually well-rounded, but in the last 3 months when I was distracted by my twin flame, you started producing entire live streams based on things I said also. And let's not act like you didn't get the idea for your futuristic panel layout from the sci-fi aesthetic you've seen on my channel. And O'Shea Duke Jackson, let's not act like both you and Philip Scott were placing TV frames around your news reports and visuals directly behind before seeing me do it. Six the Goddess, let's not act like you didn't get the idea for your logo placed on your TV directly behind you during your commentary from seeing me do it. And Nick at Night, let's not pretend that your idea for the ambient background you stole from the YouTube channel Retro Rhythm isn't a poor imitation of the futuristic edits you see here. And let's not pretend like the outer space living room ambient background you stole from the YouTube channel Universe just last year wasn't a knockoff of the spaceship editing aesthetic I produced prior to my twin flame distracting me. Now, I've asked all of these people and other creators within their sectors nicely to stop copying me a multitude of times over the last 2 years. It's clear that these losers are trying to destiny swap with me. But I'll make this plain and simple for you losers and other creators within your sectors that made a habit out of copying me. I'm I'm not trying to have a seat at any of your tables, and I wouldn't care to be in any of your spots either. Due to my presence being rejected, I'm building my own table, and the only other spot at my table remains strictly reserved for the woman I married. And since you losers rejected my presence, I want no parts of what any of you have going on whatsoever, and I highly disapprove of your unauthorized plagiarism. Now, I'll give a brief side note to further point out the persistent hypocrisy of these people. 5 out of 6 of these individuals regularly make content whining and complaining about Caucasians supposedly being nosy and having a tendency to chase down the black population, making it seem as though they have an inability to leave black people alone. But you people are literally doing the exact same thing to me. I've been asking y'all and other creators within your sectors nicely to leave me alone for years, but y'all seem to have an inability to leave my channel and my creative concepts alone. Now, lastly, I'll give a brief spiritual revelation about why you losers should really leave me alone. The meaning of my name, Mark, translates to being warlike, which perfectly explains the level of natural restraint I had in sparing all of you for the last few years, while simultaneously explaining why I have a tendency to take things much further than the average person if I'm ever in a situation where I'm forced to defend myself. Now, I'd advise all of you in this picture and other creators within your sectors to leave me alone, get off my channel, and stop copying me, because if it's still going on after my temporary financial bond is lifted, I'll have to see to it that my name goes down in history as the guy who single-handedly destroyed black YouTube. Now, all of you still have the opportunity to stop copying me and walk away with your foundations fully intact, but if y'all and other creators within your sectors keep on, I'll be forced to legally see to it that none of your businesses have a leg to stand on once my temporary financial bond has been lifted, that is. And in all honesty, none of you idiots are worth me regressing back into who I used to be prior to finding the man upstairs and potentially going back to jail over. To all of those who watch me out of genuine enjoyment with no intent to copy or attempts to destiny swap with me, I have to reiterate that the only reason for that decline in my upload consistency was due to being detrimentally distracted by my twin flame. Now, unfortunately, I had to cut her off because she did nothing more than waste my time. But now I'm back for good with 3 videos weekly and maybe more later on down the line. And I also promise that this time I'm not going anywhere. Now, on to the outro.
If you enjoyed today's show, be sure to make yourself known by commenting your thoughts below. Also, hit the like, subscribe, and share buttons and ring the notification bell to ensure you stay tuned for the next episode. Most importantly, take it easy out there until GP returns. I'll catch you guys in the next one.